Hey everybody, welcome to Cares Everywhere. It's me, Anthony Brown, aka the Ghetto Practitioner. And man, I am super excited, stoked, and just totally beside myself. I have the opportunity, folks, to bring to you today live this I don't want to say ginormous or enormous, but this this pillar of the community I have been blessed with crossing paths with more than one occasions. And you know, this individual has a heart the size of Kansas, man, and he's just a real down to earth guy. And he's a crazy comedian and it's just out of control. So without me even saying any much more, let me introduce you to Pat Laborio. Hey Pat, what's happening?
Ooh, how's it going, Anthony? It's so good to see you, man. How's life out there? We miss you, buddy.
Hey, life is lifey. Life is lifey. And so Pat, again, thank you for coming on the show. Every now and again I get to think that I'm smart, and so I look up some research and stuff, and I come across a whole bunch of stuff I never even knew about you, man. Never even knew. I mean, I see you in the local, in the local 202, and you came and you helped us with our fundraiser, and I laughed at so many of your jokes, man. That one about the freaking merry-go-round kills me, but it's interesting, and I know you as Pat. So how do my audience get to know you? Who are you, man? Tell us something about you.
I'm just a sober guy. I go by Patrick mostly now. It's been a while, but I'm just a sober dude. I'm a case manager at a mental health facility. I work with addicts and alcoholics. I work with people with mental health challenges. I still do comedy. I don't do it full time anymore. I'll travel like I used to. But I still do it. I do a lot of shows for people in recovery. I'll do private parties, and I still once in a while I'll get down to a comedy club here and there. I just don't do it. I'm not on stage as much as I was when I was 30, but I still have a lot of fun with it though. And I'm just really just somebody that's just blessed to be alive, blessed to be doing the things that I'm doing. Try to have fun on top of trying to make a difference in my life, whatever little dent in the universe I can do.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
And it's cool because you mentioned you work in recovery and mental health and sobriety and things like that. I self-disclose. I've been sober since March 28th, 1999.
Mhm.
And the 12 steps does work for me. What prompted you to start working in recovery and mental health?
I couldn't get a job anywhere else. No, um, yeah, the criminal record kind of. No, really, to be completely honest, I was 32 when I got sober. And I mean, I think I knew you when I first got sober. 2002. And I will disclose as well. I'll keep a lot of the specifics out, but hey, uh, God willing, I'm closing in on 24 years. I'm really proud of that. But
Congratulations.
thank you. I went to school, believe it or not. I went to college at junior college here after getting in a lot of trouble. And then I went to Santa Ana College. I got into a really good school in West Virginia where I went for to study journalism of all things. I thought I wanted to be a sports reporter and a producer and be on the air for that, but really I had my whole life I had been an athlete. I played football, baseball, wrestled. I was really good. And in my heart, I wanted to get back into acting. So
Mm.
I started after college. I spent a little bit of time doing sports stuff for football. And then I went right into stand up and acting right out of school. So but that's where I started. I had a really good career. I was doing really well in my 20s. But as my addiction would have it, I kind of fell on my face and I got into treatment really about 6 months into my sobriety. I saw people working in the field and I thought, oh, this looks pretty interesting. And I started out working in addiction, then kind of worked my way up through addiction and mental health where I am today. and just try to go back to school and learn a few things. And here I am. I've been doing this ever since. And I did comedy full time for a long time in sobriety. And then I don't know, probably around 38, 39, I started to kind of curtail more into this so I could be home more, really. And I really enjoy what I do. That's the thing. I love doing what I do. I just had a really great week, super busy. I probably had the busiest week I've had since I've been with this company, but I'm really proud of what we do, what we did this week. And so I go home and I'm really happy to do what I do for people.
Okay, cool. And I too work in recovery. I too work in mental health. I'm a nurse practitioner now, and
Oh wow.
I work at a local hospital. I've been working in mental health since 2004, and uh, it's never a dull moment, and it's always a pleasure when you get to see people change.
Hmm.
You know? And so I really enjoy the work, and I do get a sense of accomplishment,
Hmm.
even if I'm that person that says, "Hey, good morning," and they smile back and say, "Good morning,"
Yeah, yeah.
because as you have seen, some people come into treatment and they're just not the chippiest stuff to they really
Nah.
don't feel right. You
Yeah.
know, they they're not chippy, but and it's great that you're in this field. But I want to and it's cool because again, I've seen your stand up, and everybody has their own choice. Me, I'm selfish. I love seeing you on stage. It's just that, and it's really fascinating because like I said, at one point in time, you was described by L.A. Weekly as the funniest Hawaiian on earth. Now, why would they give you that label?
Wow. I remember that article. There were a couple at the same time, but they talked to a big comic in Hawaii named Andy Bumatai. He's probably like the biggest name that's ever come out of there. And he said, boy, he's the best one I've seen. And I thought, wow, what I saw him at the Ice House one night up in Pasadena, which is a kind of a legendary club. It's the oldest comedy club, I think, west of the Mississippi. It's an old club. Um, and yeah, I think that's where it kind of came from, that when I was probably in my mid to late 20s. And then um well, I think my perspective, though, I'm of Hawaiian descent, a guy that grew up here. There hadn't been a Hawaiian or a Polynesian comedian that's from here. And I think that was what made it interesting. Is
Mm,
I'm from Hawaii. I'm from the Big Island originally, but I grew up in Southern California. I grew up in Orange
mhm,
County. And so I think that perspective, and then my perspective of being Hawaiian in Orange County, growing up here, was, I think, what made it funny,
mm,
So yeah, but that's where
mm.
that came from. Yeah, I remember those days. Woo. Mhm,
All right, cool. And
mhm,
then again, I was looking because I just know you as an individual. I don't know, much about your career and all of that stuff. And you're just a down to earth person. You're just a good person, you know, and that's what attracts me to people. But I was looking at this stuff, and I noticed you're famous. I mean, you've been in a couple of movies, and when I look at the title of these movies, I'm like, holy moly, you know. One of the movies you're credited with being is China Dolls, and the
mhm.
other one, now get this, folks, Ass Clowns, Constipated. Okay, now those 2 movies, especially the latter,
Uh-huh.
kinda makes me go, "Hmm." Now tell us about those movies, enlighten us, what I mean?
Yeah.
I never met anybody,
Yeah. They were really interesting. The first one, China Dolls, man, I did that back in probably, gosh, 2001, maybe. When I did that movie, I was in the middle of doing some of my biggest commercials too. Um, but that movie, we got to go to Vietnam, and we were on the Vietnamese Cambodian border for part of the shoot. And it was a really cool experience to have. Don Barnhart Jr. directed that movie. His dad, if you Google him, his dad's one of the biggest TV directors of the 70s and 80s. He did a huge, he directed tons of stuff. And Don, my friend Don, runs a club in Vegas right now. So he's been in Vegas with his wife for a while. But that movie was a lot of fun. I actually played a very serious role in that. I was Papa G. Like I was the bad guy's bodyguard in that one. So I'll tell you a funny scene
Okay.
was I had no idea this was gonna happen, right? And this is no joke. Um, there was this there was this porn star named Nikki Chow, right? She just shows up to this house that we're filming it, right? And so like they're like, yeah, so this is the girl for for scene three. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Right? What? Yeah. So in this scene, I'm supposed to like slap this girl around on the pool table, and I'm like, what? Like, I had no idea we were even doing this scene, right? And so the girl, like, I don't know who told her what to do or whatnot, but I come in with my outfit on. This girl comes out butt naked in this scene, and the director's like, "Cut! Like, what is going on? Why? What are you doing?" Right? And I had no idea what was going on. I was just basically she was supposed to be one of the main bad guys' girls, and then she did something bad. I'm supposed to slap her around, but I didn't get the write in for the scene. And then she got a whole total different write in where she comes in like with no clothes on.
Sure.
And we spent like an hour trying to figure out what are we doing here? It was so funny. And then all I remember is people that know me know I'm just kind of like a teddy bear, I guess. So I'm doing this scene where I'm supposed to be really mean, and everybody starts laughing. Like every take, people start giggling, laughing. I have this line like, "You do that again, and we're gonna make you disappear." And everybody kept laughing every time I did the line. I kept laughing. So finally, I started doing it goofy. I'm like, "You do that again, and you're out of here," and making it worse. And we had to do that same scene like 20 times. And and my friend's like, "Okay, great, Nikki, you can put your clothes on anytime." That's like the idea of like the no clothes thing too. We're like, what is this woman doing? But it was such a chaotic thing because I everything I've ever done in my life, I come super prepared. I cold read, I rehearse my stuff, and I'm ready to rock. I had no idea what we were doing or who this person was. I had no idea what the heck we were doing. But that shoot, we shot for about 4 months too, and it was a really fun time. It was good to play like a serious role, which I've done on
Uh-huh.
on stage a few times, but that one was cool. The other movie you're talking about, um, that movie, um, and my buddy Charles, the guy who produced that movie and directed it, he works on a lot of big projects, and it was really cool because for that movie there were a couple pro wrestlers. Vivica Fox played the Vivica Fox played the psychiatrist in this thing. It was literally hilarious. So this whole thing's like kind of like Dumb and Dumber, but two middle-aged guys. So I play Froggy, kind of the main character of this thing. And in this movie, um, the co-star is trying to talk me into like how to get girls. And all this advice he gives me is just horrible. And so I end up getting beat up, just strung out. And at the end of this movie, uh he's like in the psych ward, and Vivica Fox is the psychiatrist. She puts these brass knuckles on. She's like, "Time to go to work." Like, what's he doing? What's she doing? And she ends up beating him up, and it was just such a funny scene. But that was another one that was just super fun to shoot. We shot it over about a year. He did that all on his own time, and it went straight to like, you can upload it or whatever. But it was so much fun doing that movie. There was a lot of really good people in it that just wanted to have fun. So it was a really cool experience though.
And that's cool. It's
Mhm.
it's interesting because I've done, I think, a documentary or something like that, but I've never been in a movie. But it's interesting how just even looking at that name, okay, and I know you didn't like ass clowns constipated, and I'm like, okay, and I'm definitely gonna look that up too, but it's just the name itself just caught me, it just caught me. and so that's cool. And so that was back in the days. Were you sober throughout that whole duration?
For those movies, I was sober. Gosh, the first couple things I did sober, oh boy, I did some big like commercials and stuff right when I got sober, and it was 2002, and then it all hit the wall. Really, 2001, early 2002. I was in a really big commercial for Reebok, that premiered during the finale of Survivor, and that commercial was on the cover of TV Guide. Um, it was I played a sumo wrestler in that commercial. I'm dancing in a nightclub. Yeah, of all things. That was huge. It was on billboards. There was magazine ads everywhere, and then really, it was not too far after that is when I got sober. And so, yeah, those two movies I was sober. I think the Austin Powers Goldmember movie, I was newly sober. Oh, not even a year yet when I did that one.
Oh wait, well, hold on. What? Austin Powers Gold member?
Yeah, yeah, I was just a featured extra in that, but I had a really funny scene. It didn't make the cut. I was so mad where Fat Bastard um throws me into the crowd. I'm the sumo wrestling judge, right? And my buddy
Okay.
Nate, all the sumo wrestlers that you see in those scenes, we all have done music videos and TV shows together. Oh, my friend Pete, he passed away last year. I'm so bummed out about it, but Pete was in Necessary Roughness with Scott Bakula. And he's done a lot of things. He was in The Fast and the Furious. Really good friend of mine, passed away. But he and I were in that movie together, and with Nate and a lot of the other guys, the wrestlers. I work with them on a lot of different projects, and so it was really fun. I was the referee. I remember it taking me like 4 hours. I had bronchitis the whole shoot. I was like the whole week. We were shooting at the old LA boxing arena. And that's when, it was with this scene with Beyonce and Mike Myers, and watching Mike Myers go from um, to Austin Powers to the Fat Bastard outfit, and how long it took to get the makeup and all the little bladders on him and stuff like that. And then I'm leading the wrestlers onto to the mat for the scene, and Beyonce's got her little huge afro, you can see her in the crowd. But that was so much fun to do that. But I remember being so sick I could barely breathe. I'm like, I am not gonna quit this job. I wanna do this so bad. It was just such a fun experience. Getting to sit with Mike Myers and watch him get into all the makeup stuff, and do our little thing together. But it didn't make the cut. I was so sad. But that was a fun movie. That was a bigger movie that I did that I was just barely in. But yeah, that was a really fun time. And
Huh.
I was pretty new. I think you want to hear a really funny story about that movie? I got
Yeah, yeah.
so I went to the audition. They said you got to be in costume. I'm like, what? When I go for sumo wrestling roles, you don't want to be in costume. It's a malashi, right? And it's hard to put on. So I'm driving this audition. It's hot. It's like 90 degrees. I'm driving my car. I got my arm out the window, and I get pulled over by the cops. Like, what the hell? I'm going to Universal Studios, and I'm like maybe 2 blocks from the gate. And this is a busy street. Cops like, can you step out of the car, please? I'm like, what? I get out of the car. I'm sitting on the curb with a sumo wrestling outfit on. He goes, do you have an audition? I said, yeah. He was right down there. He goes, oh, okay. I thought you were driving naked. And I went, oh my God. And people are driving by honking their horn. I'm just like, oh man, yeah. But I remember
What a
that was the
life.
that was the audition. Yeah. And
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
Nice. Never a dull moment in
Nope.
Hollywood.
Oh God, no, nope. And that was sober. I have a lot of funny ones drunk where I couldn't find my car. I got kicked out of an audition once for being drunk. That was fun. Yeah.
Wow. And
Yep.
and it's let me try to piece this timeline together. So you were when you were drinking and using, I mean,
Mhm.
what about, I mean, was you doing both or just drinking? Or you mentioned sober. Which one are you sober from? Or Tell me about
Well,
that a little bit.
to be honest, I mean, it was mostly drinking for the last probably, oh gosh, 7, 8 years. It was just alcohol. It
Mm.
started out more cocaine, believe it or not. I mean, I'm from the '80s. You know, we
Okay.
everybody was doing blow back at that time, and then it graduated to meth because I realized I could stay up for 3 weeks instead of 3 hours. You know, and of course
Right.
that was alluring. You know, I could sit there and think I had to solve the world without moving my hands and feet. Um, but yeah, I started using when I was 14, probably. I was doing coke at 15, 16, a lot of it. Got in trouble with the law before my 19th birthday and saw a lot of really horrible things that friends that we were involved in some really bad stuff as a teenager. And
Mm.
to be honest, I'm lucky to be alive because I had friends that died that didn't make it, believe it or not. But you know, I got my act together, went back to college. I flunked out of high school, okay, because I just missed too many classes. I went to
Right.
junior college, got my grades up, and then went to 4 year school. Did really well in school. You know, I played ball. I did a lot of good work, and then after a while, it got mostly just drinking. After a while, you know, when I first started comedy, everybody was doing coke in the green room at the comedy store, you know, in Hollywood. And some of the LA shows that was still kind of the scene, but we're going into the early mid '90s. It was starting to kind of fade away a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, but for me, it was really just drunk every night, literally drunk. And I guess I got lucky, if you want to call it that. I did some really I got noticed pretty quick. I mean, I was doing open mics, doing all kinds of things. I often joke though, the first apartment building I lived in LA, I think the entire second floor is famous except me. Like literally the entire floor, right? And I'm like, if I could find half of the old VHS videotapes that I filmed just of us being stupid, I could sell into magazines for millions of dollars. I mean, I remember going to Long Beach, going down Second Street, doing Yankee Doodles, doing all the bars up and down Second Street and Ocean Street and all these places. Long Beach had so many comedy shows that you could literally just walk across the street and do 2 or 3 shows a night every night of the week. And we
Oh
did.
wow.
And we were drunk every night. And I mean, we had guys like Cat Williams just cruising the street, you know. Gabriel Iglesias, who's a really good friend of mine. People know him as Fluffy. He was 17 when I met him, and he's from Long Beach, and he was in that little crew. But there was all kinds of young buddy comedians around there. I remember when Dane Cook came out of here from Boston. He was up and down the streets of Long Beach too, because it was really good to get on stage. But I
Mm.
guess I got lucky early and started making money. I started touring, and I just couldn't handle it, to be honest with you. And it's weird. I don't know if even at a subconscious level, I destroyed it on purpose. I don't know
Mm.
if that makes any sense to anybody, but I couldn't. I felt like somebody asked me one time, like if the step one in AA was, if I understood that step, and I said, boy,
Mm.
that the first part of it was easy because I drank because I didn't want to manage anything. If that
Mm.
makes any sense. I didn't want to manage. I didn't want the pressure, and I felt too much pressure. I couldn't handle it, and I don't know if I started messing it up on purpose. I don't know if that was a conscious thing, but yeah. I mean, I was doing really good in my 20s, but that's the timeline. Really, all through my 20s, I'm doing stand up. I mean, 3 to 5 shows a night every night, and then touring all over the country, just wherever I could go. Being gone from home for 9 months out of the year, you know. I mean, that's what it
Mm.
takes, you know.
Right.
Yeah, it all. I did that all the way till I was about 30, 31, until it started to really crash on me.
Huh. And so you're drinking and using, drinking mostly.
Mhm.
Your career is launched. What made you decide that you wanted to stop drinking and using? What was that turning point?
Yeah, this is a good boy. This is gonna sound really horrible and really honest at the same time. What was my bottom, Patrick? I ran out of money. I ran out of cash.
Wow.
What scares me about my personality, I don't think I was afraid to die at that time. I don't think I was afraid. Like if I died, I could care less. I ran out of money. Nobody wanted to talk to me. I'd lost all my friends.
Mm.
Family didn't want to talk to me really at all. And then there was another comedian named Bob who I made it to his show one night, and it was just a show in Anaheim. I made it to his show, and I asked him for help. I knew he was in the program, and he
Mm.
took me to my first meeting the next day. I didn't know what to expect on first meeting at the Friendship Club. Uh, and I remember the seat I sat in. I'll never forget exactly where I was sitting. And I remember everybody in the room was laughing except me. Like I'm a comedian.
Mm.
I was the only one in the room not laughing. And there was food. Honestly, people looked like good people, and it made me come back. It was really just it all kind of happened like that. I didn't have this white light experience. I really believe I was sort of bitter for the first year, 18 months. What am I doing in this sober living bullshit? I'm sorry if there's language here, but
Right, that's okay.
I just was not happy about anything. A car, a crappy job. I was trying to, nobody wanted to hire me for comedy. So literally, I was trying to do sales, phone sales, anything I could get, right? And then I started to get interning for this and working in addiction, which would eventually kind of change my whole life and purpose. But
Mhm.
my sobriety wasn't good for a while. I didn't feel worth anything, to be honest. I was bitter, pissed off at God, everything. And the only thing that really held me together was the comedy. Like at first, um, I started doing shows in Anaheim that were every Saturday night. Those
Mhm.
shows got very popular. We ended up doing that show every Saturday for 10 years straight. Um, it's one of the things I'm the most proud of. When I look at the who's who of comedians that did that show, it's pretty amazing. We had a lot of people that did that show for free, drove down from LA on Saturday night for free because the videotape from that show was so good. And it's a who's who of famous comedians before they were famous. It's pretty cool. But I was very proud of that show. I'm proud of all the people that have come and gone and passed away that really gave their time and effort to put that show on every week. That was the only thing that gave me any kind of worth at all, that I felt worth anything. Uh,
Mhm.
it wasn't until I hit almost 2 years to where I started my mindset started to change. I thought maybe there's a future somewhere for me.
Cool. And it's fascinating because you mentioned some. I'm in Ohio now, and I
Mhm.
got sober in California. And when you mentioned the friendship club, it's like, yeah, the back patio back there, my name's on the wall, and you know, just just sitting there, and it's a great place for when you not just get sober, but to stay sober.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who don't know about the 12 steps, that is a design for living. And a lot of people's like, no, I don't want to go to, when you're at a point where you hit a bottom and
Mhm.
you have nowhere else to go but up, that's a good place to get lifted to that level, you
Yep.
know? And it's great that you walked in those doors because I went there after I had some time sober, but it's
Mhm.
it's it's cool. And then, just jump in your car, go down the road a bit and hit the
Mhm.
202. And, you know, clubs, not nightclubs, but
Uh-huh.
just, recovery environments has this thing that makes you feel like you're something, you're part of, you
It's
know?
funny. I was trying to find a place in this interview to tell this story because I know you probably don't even remember this. I don't remember how much time I had. I didn't have a lot of time yet. Maybe I don't know, somewhere between 2 and 3 years. And I was just starting to get a little bit stable. I mean, I felt like I was way behind everything. Like these guys are doing so much better than me. That's kind of I was comparing myself to everything and every cognitive distortion you've ever seen. I was doing it. But I was frustrated. I was just really struggling at the time. And I remember you gave me $10 for gas.
Huh.
Yeah. And the
Oh,
reason
wow.
why that was such a big deal to me, I knew you, but just barely from the meetings. And you ran up to me after the meeting and did that. And I remember my entire brain started to switch and I started to see other people, about 4 or 5 other people that sat where you sat. Every time I saw you were sitting in the same area against the wall every time. And I noticed the
Mhm.
5 or 6 other people that sat against that wall. I noticed the ladies that sat on the other side of the room. And what I started to notice is real people that genuinely give a crap about you for no other reason but just to see you come back to the room, you know. And I'll never forget that as long as I live.
Dude, dude, I don't even remember that, but that just gave me misty eyed.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. You
I
know,
remember
it's
that.
just
Yeah,
I just do what other people have done for me, you know, and that's crazy. Man, I got a little sully-eyed here for a second, man. I mean, you that wow.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Just but I remember individual pancake breakfasts at that club, right? I
Uh-huh.
mean, and
Mhm.
you see them now. You see them online. Everyone's got a chili cook-off and a pancake breakfast and a car show, and you see all these things. And I ask people, do you ever go? Do you check them out? Because the smallest moment can change your life. I've seen people that I've known now for 20 years
Mm.
who had 3 days at a pancake breakfast or
Yep.
were angry and pissed off at the world walking around the Garden Grove Club at a chili cook-off. In
Mhm.
fact,
Mhm.
I think uh we were talking about Long Beach earlier, and I remember the Long Beach has different clubs, and I went there and I did a comedy show at one of the Long Beach clubs, right? There were 4
Um,
people that were brand new out of residential treatment. 3 of those guys I still don't pay. So that was their first like 2 weeks, you know,
mm.
sober. And they've been around this long now. So, and I know some pretty I don't want to out them out, but I know some pretty big comics that did the 202 Club that got sober coming and doing the show for a while, and they have some significant time now. Pretty
Mhm.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, again, those clubs work. If you're new, please, if you're listening and you're new, okay, please hear this. There is help. We want you to be there. We look for you, and you're welcome, no matter what. We don't care. I mean, when I first got sober, I didn't smell like like the world's greatest person. But, people still said, "Come on in and have a seat," you know? I was a hot mess, that's back when I had hair and it was nappy, but you guys just told me to come on in, have a seat. You told me the most important things. I knew everything. You told me to shut up because I knew a lot, but I didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to save myself, and so these clubs work. Well, great. Okay, so you got sober. I gave you $10. You started doing comedy shows, and and well, you did comedy shows. You got celebrated. You continue to do it, but on the side. Now, what made you make that transition? Because now you're a mental health advocate. You're working in the field. You're doing saving lives in a whole different fashion. What made you make that transition from a comedian to a community health provider?
Yeah, that's a great question. I started out, when I first got sober, maybe 6 months in, I was kind of back then you had to go, you had to do more. They wouldn't just hire you. I started out interning at a hospital, worked at some places in LA part-time, and they sort of eased my way into it. Um, I had some I was starting to get more full-time work, and it's really funny because I had a big offer. I think I was 6 years 6 years sober, and I got a call from Summit Entertainment in Houston, Texas, and I had an opportunity to go back on the road, and I know that the smaller clubs would have let me closed. I was doing really good in all these sober shows. I was doing conventions, and we were doing big conventions all over, and it was going very well. And I got another opportunity to get back on the road, and I don't know what happened. it was so easy to say, you know what, this isn't for me. It just came. I didn't have to think about it. And what it was, Anthony, was the simple fact that I just knew that that road part of my life was over. I love
Mm,
doing comedy, and you know what? I'm always going to be a comedian. I sort of have a purpose with my comedy now. With back then, it was Laughaholics,
mm,
and I'm still doing comedy, but I'm like, am I going to be okay with no home group, being on the road 9 months out of the year, chasing checks from Memphis and Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Bangor, Maine, all through the summer trying to chase checks that didn't get mailed in? You know, am I, is that going to be good for me? And I
yeah.
just had this feeling I had to stay with my home group. I didn't want to go back up to LA either. I liked living in Orange County at the time. And being around my support group, being around the Friendship Club, the Garden Grove Club, I think were my two big ones. Those two places, that's where all my people were. That's where all my friends were. And I'm like, I don't think it's a good idea for me to be on the road like this at 38. I just think it was a good
Mm.
idea. And so I gambled. I said, you know, I'm going to keep going to school and just try to go more in this direction. I may never make that kind of money, but I think this is a better bet for me. And believe it or
Uh-huh.
not, it wasn't really a hard choice, strangely enough. And then I started getting into that, yeah, more full
Good.
time.
But fascinating, and it's interesting because sometimes the outside stuff doesn't satisfy the inside person,
Hmm.
you know? And for me, no matter how much I accomplish, it doesn't matter if I'm not feeling good with me. And being around that home group and getting the support and being around people who know you, not just know of you, but know you, who's able and comfortable with you, who's able to come up and go, you know what, Patrick, you don't look good today. What's going on? And you're comfortable enough to say, well, let's sit down and talk about it because I need to save myself right now.
Yeah.
And that's huge. And to pay that price is priceless. I'd give up any of this stuff just to be okay with me. Just to be okay with me. And so that's cool. So we're gonna what do you think for those people out there in the world? Because I deal with a bunch of homeless people. For those people who have mental health issues or substance use issues, what do you think should be the first step for them if they wanted to get introduced to changing their life? What would you suggest or recommend?
Honestly, just try. I know this sounds so cliche. Um, I, I, I have had some of the worst cases of schizophrenia, you know, dissociative identity disorder, like really hardcore cases. People that are bipolar and chronic chronic alcoholics
Mm,
that have no liver left. Or, you know, I've seen them if they have the capacity just to try. And we talk about our program, the capacity to be honest.
mhm,
Can you look in the mirror and say this isn't working? That's it. If you are
mm.
willing to listen and try, you'll be shocked at what you can do. And I'm so tired of hearing people tell me that people, you know, they'll always have to be in a hospital. He's never going to have a regular life, and you don't know that. I've
Yeah, that's
seen people
BS.
with some really severe shit, or people that have been homeless since they were 22 and they're 40. You think he's going to be a productive member of society? Yeah, I'm looking at one of them. Okay. Um, you can. And I've seen this happen. I've seen people literally living in a dumpster
Mhm,
who are doing great things. Okay. I've seen it with my own eyes. Um,
mhm.
I think you and I both know somebody that went to Folsom Prison that started a contracting company and made a really good life for himself. You know, I'll never forget that jerk. He told he was kidding. He was kidding, but he took it so literally. He goes, I said something at the AA meeting one time. This is when I had like 2 years and thought I was at like a AA book Jedi night. And he goes, hey, yeah, nice to meet you. I'm Bob. I go, oh, nice to meet you. He goes, yeah, I just want to let you know people like you don't usually stay sober. Have a good one. And what an ass. I swear for the next year, I kept looking at every meeting. I'm like, I'm still here.
Right.
But it was but he's another example. Just and I've seen a lot of this just and really what it comes down to, it's there's no how'd you do it? What's the magic? There isn't. It's just show up, get a little beat up. This isn't some magic carpet ride. It's grudgingly moving and falling down and getting up, and it's ugly and it smells bad. And people aren't always cheering for you. Nobody else cares sometimes. And you learn to
Mhm.
care for yourself. You learn to be your biggest cheerleader. Some people just don't give a rat's ass. And you realize the people that are pulling for you aren't related. There's just other people that this fellowship brings together. You know what I mean? And that they're the one, they're a driving force. But then you're your own driving force. You realize that this ride is never perfect. So I don't know. And I've noticed the same thing in mental health with that aspect. I notice that people that go to meetings, any 12-step program, are more ready to take on any challenge. Whereas
Mm.
sometimes when I see people in treatment, they're in a pre-contemplative state of change. They know there's a problem, but they don't know what it is yet, if that makes
Mhm.
any sense. Maybe they're
They
not
slobbing.
ready for the work ahead, maybe. But
Mhm.
all I can say is people that have stuck it around in mental health and in treatment and in meetings, people that just stick around, even people that have come back 2 or 3 times, but they keep doing it, eventually
Mhm.
I've seen them get it. So I would say just be persistent. Don't give up on yourself, you know?
Don't give up on yourself. They say don't quit before the miracle happens, man.
Mhm.
Wow. What a powerful interview. I'm gonna have to land this plane, man. And I am just like honored to, and it is good seeing an old friend of mine, man. And I'm honored to get to know, a little bit more about your story. I'm glad and grateful and extremely happy that you shared it with my audience. And I look forward to seeing you out there, man. Keep up the good work, Pat. Just
Thank you.
keep
You
up the
too,
good work.
bro.
You know, if anybody wanted to get a hold of you for anything, I don't know exactly what you're willing to do for others, but how would they get a hold of you if you wanted somebody to get a hold of you, Patrick?
You know what? Just hit me up on Facebook or probably Facebook. I'm not really much on the other ones. I'm on TikTok a lot, just arguing and watching funny dog videos. I mean, but I mean, people get a hold of me. People like that want to get me for a show or just reach out. I answer my Facebook mails all in there. That's an easy way to get a hold of me. I don't really have a website anymore, but
Okay.
that's an easy way to get a hold of me. Just Patrick Laborio on Facebook. I get people message me. I've gotten people to hire me from that for shows and talks.
Okay.
So
Great. Thank you.
uh-huh.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up. As always, again, it's me, Anthony Brown, aka the Ghetto Practitioner. This is Cares Everywhere, and we care because you are here. And if not, we will come to you there. We're gonna wrap it up. Thank you very much. You guys don't know behind the scenes, we got Solomon from Long Beach. Yeah, yeah. I gotta give him a shout out. That's the magic man that does the magic stuff that allows us to be here with you at this moment. And so until the next time, we will see you all. Peace be with you, and thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you very much.